full screen.
Did you? Sure.
I did. Yeah, that looks a lot better. While you were here, you saw my trash can. A few weeks later, I bought batteries for the trash can.
Did you?
It was only last week.
Did you put the batteries in?
No, I did put the batteries in, but it just wasn't working.
Oh.
And I don't know why it wasn't working. Um, but I went to go take out the trash because that's what you do when you're a strong, independent black woman. And when I flipped the top over, I was like, oh, there's a switch. So I thought the batteries were dead and I was going to order more, but I was too lazy to take them out and then have to order more and then switch them out and then see if those work. But I'm glad I didn't because I just flipped the switch and now it works. And so,
So rather than traditional troubleshooting, you were just gonna buy more batteries. And in theory, if this cycle continued, you would just keep buying batteries.
no, I would have just left it because I was fine with lifting up the trash with my finger and putting it back down and washing my hands.
I was there almost 3 months ago, just for the record.
First of all, the batteries were bought about a month ago. They were put in a week after I got them,
And
or
when
it
did you find the
was
switch?
almost a week, like a week or so ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was some time. It was some time. There are some things we just don't pay attention to, and it's not something that's like top of mind because I was more so focused on the amazing oxtails that I made, and then
Don't try to
yeah,
change the
it was just
subject.
like
Don't change the
tender, fall off the
subject.
bone oxtails over some white rice, and it was just like
That's great. I'm
it was
happy for you.
amazing. It was amazing.
I'm
It
happy
was
for you.
all parties enjoyed it.
Truly,
It was
truly happy for you.
delicious. It was delicious. But sometimes we just don't pay attention. And
Yeah.
I think that that is a part of human nature.
Okay. I'll
But
give you that.
I was trying to give you a break this week.
I'm glad it works though.
It does, but now it's like fickle. Like
You have to get
it's like one
just
of those Halloween. It's like one of those Halloween things
when you like
because it'll
reach your
like
hand in,
if I open it without pressing the open button or waving my hand over it, it'll aggressively close itself back down.
like hungry hippo type thing, like trying
Why?
to
Why are
snatch your
you so?
hand.
First of all,
Beat
why
the
are you
clock.
so aggressive? You do not
Look,
have to be rude. Like
not
now my
paying
trash can has personality.
not paying no rent or anything. Got all
Right.
the attitude in the world.
It's taking up 2.5 feet of space, and now all of a sudden, now that you got some life in you,
Mm, mm, mm.
let me tell you something.
Mm, 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 mm. Mm,
I did
mm,
give you
mm, mm,
relief
mm.
this week, so no new words. Um,
I
I
was
have
ready.
been, huh?
I was ready for it, but it's okay.
No,
I'll take
I
that.
was trying to give you a break, mostly because it's like month end and things were busy at work. So I was like, I can't, because inculcate. No, it wasn't inculcate. Inculcate was the last one. It was. Now I have to look it up. After this show, I gotta give you. I gotta tell you what it's gonna be.
You slipping on your
Yeah,
dipping.
I don't remember, but yeah. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I'm your host Leah, joined by my co-star Jason.
It's me. It's me.
Yeah, it's been
DDP.
great, like having you. Honestly, for the past 6-ish months,
Has it been that long?
it probably has. I haven't counted.
Dang, I need to go back into hiding for a minute. The people need to miss me, you know?
I mean, I feel like that sometimes, and being off for like the last couple weeks, and has really kind of helped with not having to post and do this and do that.
Mhm.
But a lot of people are asking, how come I don't do solo shows or go live or any of this, blah blah blah, and it's like because I need someone to like make me stay in my lane.
We've had
If
these
not,
conversations.
oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so
Like,
bad.
I go off topic with things, but you'll go off like and take the entire freeway to an entirely different city, and then There's no way back. Me, I'll take an exit on the freeway and then hop
Mhm.
back on in a few miles. You'll go the full road trip, buy a new house in the city and stuff. You'll settle into the city and then try to pick up and go back to where you were originally tending to go in the first place. You can't do that after you moved in and
I mean,
bought new couches and
sometimes you
stuff.
gotta like find the pockets to go back home. But if I feel like, but that's another thing. Um I try to be more cautious about the conversations I have to
Mhm.
make sure that they stay on a certain path. But my brain works in a way that it connects things to other things.
Yeah.
And sometimes in conversation, I don't make those connections out loud. So I end up talking about so many different things and change topics 4 to 6 times. It's like, wait, I want to get back to that, but also circling back to this, but then
Mhm.
talking about this and then going this way and that way. It's just, it's a lot.
It's okay. I've learned to navigate it. It's
It's a
jarring, a
lot.
little traumatizing sometimes, but
I feel like, but it keeps you on your toes.
it comes with territory. Does it keep me on my toes or does it keep me on guard as a friend?
More so on your toes. I don't think that you've ever been. I don't think since 2012, maybe. It took some time. It took some time. Maybe 2012. You were less guarded.
I suppose.
Yeah, you were way less guarded in 2012.
Need to do a lot of soul searching on this one. Soul searching.
Oh my gosh.
You hear those aggressive S's? Those
I don't
whistling
know why
S's?
you're doing that.
It's fun sometimes.
It's
It is.
not. But we were talking a little bit earlier about November.
Mm-hmm.
All the holidays, all the music and the
Mm-hmm.
decorations and the people coming together, the cold weather, and being on edge to find
Yes.
out whose obituary we're going to be reading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is between November and January, but it's like people just getting their ticket punched and just like, all right,
Yeah.
we're out of here.
I do not like November. I haven't liked November since 1997 when my grandmother passed. And then
Mm,
like there have been other familial deaths in November, so it's not my favorite month. I don't look forward to it at all. Like at all. Basically,
I
the end of October through November is just like, ugh.
it there's a is it coming this way? Probably not.
What, your
So,
Roomba?
no, the sirens.
Oh, you looked over. I heard something like clutter or like a footstep type sound. Like, wait, who's
I
there?
hope you didn't hear any footsteps. It's only me in the house.
That's how every scary movie starts.
See, no, that's
There's a
no.
man behind you.
There, no, okay, before we get back into that real quick, and this is where we get into asides. I didn't know that they were cleaning the windows. I just kept hearing some banging when I was in the office, but when I closed the door, I couldn't hear it anymore.
Mhm.
So I come out the office wearing what I normally wear around the house, which was not very appropriate for the guy who was like cleaning my window. And I was just like, oh, enjoy the show as
They
I'm
don't send
running
a
to
notice for that?
the.
They don't send a notice for that kind of thing? Like,
They
hey,
sent a
just so
notice,
you
but
know.
I didn't know my floor was that day. So that's why I wasn't prepared. They send notices, but I didn't pay attention. But
She's like,
back
we
to the
don't pay
topic at
attention to
hand.
notices. We black. We don't pay attention. I pay attention to every notice.
Unless they're telling me that I owe something or that they're coming specifically to my apartment to change something, I'm not
Mhm.
really sure. I'm like, oh, you're washing windows. It's fine.
I'm like, if
Like,
they're doing like the yearly inspections or whatever, where they come around to snoop, but they just say they're checking the smoke detectors. Um, I'm
right. Let me check
like,
walls for damage
it's
and
like,
see
oh,
if
we're gonna look at your building this week, so just make sure that. I mean, your dogs are locked up and stuff. I'm like, no, I'll plan to be home because I don't want people in
right,
here alone without
right.
me.
No. Mm-mm. But yeah, back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
I'm really weird when it comes to death.
Mhm.
Um, because I know it's a natural part of life,
Right.
and um, one of the hardest deaths most recently, um, was a few years back when like my it's okay. She's like they're like the grandparents of the family, but they're not related to us. But we've known them for a long time, so we call them Grandma Dorothy, Grandpa Al. Grandpa Al's death hit me hard recently, and it was like I had my cry. I was able to get it
Mhm.
out. By the time I got to memorial service, I was good. It
Mhm.
was a little bit emotional, but I was like fine. But I'm just like I need that initial like let me get this out. Even at my back in 2005 when my dad's father passed, like I just needed a minute
Mhm.
to just like be like, man, like
You gotta like
he's
process it.
gone. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And then most recently, Grandpa Al, when he passed, I was just like, like I was at work when I got that. Well, I was at work when I got both messages. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hmm.
And it was and I'm across the country on the East Coast, and they're on the West Coast, and so I was like, I can't just go over there, be with the
Yeah.
family. And so um, after I cried and everything, after I officially like heard the news, because the first when you first hear it, it's kind of shocking, a little jarring,
Mhm.
and then I'm fine after that.
Yeah.
Like there'll be some tender moments, but other than that, like I'm not like trying to be like callous or harsh. Some people be, oh, you got ice in your veins, and it's like I've already processed it. People like
Mm.
there's going to be moments that I'm going to be like, oh, he's gone. Like I can't call or show up or whatever, blah blah. Like I'm not going to
Mhm.
hear his voice anymore. I'm not going to hear him play. I'm not going to be able to go visit or things like that. But it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's not like, and when I say I'm weird about death, I'm weird by other people's standards
Mhm.
because I don't do the whole falling out thing, and I don't do the whole um oh, like, oh, we need to be super emotional, we need to do this or whatever, blah blah. I'm more like the I'm a person that intellectualizes my feelings as opposed to
Mhm.
processing my feelings. And so I'm learning to process them a little bit better by feeling the feelings instead of just intellectualizing and analyzing and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
Once I started learning how to do that, it made it a lot easier for me to like not just get through things, but like process and fully feel them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make me, I don't think it makes me any less of like I wasn't as close, or I wasn't as, I didn't love them as much or whatever.
Right.
That's just the way I process it.
Yeah. I'm sort of, I wouldn't say I'm similar, but for me it's always like I'll hear the news or whatever. Usually after I find out that somebody close has passed, like I'll get a fever apparently. Like that's very common for me.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'll get a fever and then I'll basically like just fall asleep for a few hours and just really just like ugh. And then it just sort of feels like a knife, just like a scar basically that just sort of
Mm,
lingers. Um like we were talking about before we started recording, I've always been highly emotional. Um as I've gotten older, I've sort of gotten numb to certain things too.
mm,
Especially when it comes to like death. It's sort of like I'm in a position where because I experienced like close deaths very early on, like 10 years old, I went through all like that kind of like really intense stuff at that time. And so I'm like, okay, lost this person, sort of feel it in that moment, go through like the week or two where everything is really raw. But I know there's another side to this grief. Not that you ever over grief, but there's another stage that you get to with it where it's like acceptance, you have those tender moments and stuff. But for me, it's always been sort of like a piece that I have with myself, like, oh, okay, at some point, my welcoming committee, I'll see all of them again. That's why I call it my welcoming committee. I don't
mm,
have like a strong bond with like any particular religion or whatever, but I have this strong feeling that there's something else. However it ends,
yeah.
I'll end up with them again. So that's why I'll look at it like, okay, they're waiting for me. Wherever they are, they're doing what they need to do, preparing for me to get there when it's my time to get there. So I'm good. I'll miss them. I miss them, but things will be all right. The one that hit me the hardest most recently was my aunt's death, of course, in 2019.
Hmm.
That one was like the first time where like a parental figure in my adulthood. My grandmother passed when I was 10. That was like a parental figure because we spent a lot of time with her. But my aunt Cookie, like we were at her house basically all the time from the time that I was like in like the fourth, no, like maybe third grade through like sixth grade. We were at her house every day after school, every weekday. Um, because we still went to school in Oakland, but my mom, we lived in San Pablo. My mom worked in Oakland. We went to school in Oakland, so we would just go to her house after school. And even after we started going to school in Richmond, um, still at her house, like basically all the time doing talent shows and stuff. So a lot of her like ways, she taught me how to be a black man in certain ways, like just how to carry myself, how to show respect to myself and for myself and stuff. And so that death really, that put me with a new therapist. Like that was what
You
it
was
was with the
like,
therapist.
this isn't working.
Yeah,
I
because
gotta get some.
my first therapist, he when I had made my appointment with him, I think I talked about this before on the show, where I told him like, yeah, my aunt passed, and I'm like processing it, and he's like, well, I'm so sorry to hear that, but you know, people get older, they die, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. This was like a week, not even a week after that. This was about a week after. I hadn't even gone back to work yet, I don't think. And I was like, this is it. Like in the session, this happened maybe like the first 10 or 15 minutes in an hour session. And the whole time I'm sitting there trying to offer up some stuff and be vulnerable and share. And I'm like, I don't want to share too much because I'm not coming back. Like this,
Yeah,
this
like
ain't gonna be
no,
it.
this isn't it.
This isn't gonna be it.
Yeah.
Um, but I realized as I got older and just working with my current therapist, I realized that I didn't get a chance to process like my grandmother's death when I
Mm.
was really young because there were so many strong emotions that were happening in my family at that with that one. Um, and I guess that's one thing that I noticed with death and grief and stuff. It's really hard, or it's important for me to recognize my own emotions and other people's emotions. I recognize that with my own emotions, the way I process stuff, I'm like you, where I sort of intellectualize things. I'm very cerebral with how I think about things, um, and understanding that it's a process. Like everything, the way that people die is a process. Like the end stage of life. This is dark. How do we get on this topic? What?
It
How do we
listen.
just jump straight into this?
I just feel like I just
For
feel like
for the record, right before we started recording, we were talking. We were having a good conversation. So this is a good conversation. Don't get me wrong. But she asked me, "Do you have anything you're passionate about?" Like, I'm not sure. And then this.
you had the opportunity to choose a different topic, but I was just very interested because I know with the holidays coming up,
Yeah.
and there are probably many people who listen who have like the same experience that you have with
Hmm.
the end of the year, or we have essentially with the end of the year. Is just like, man, like how are we going to get through this? Like what are we doing to really
Hmm.
process this? And I think sometimes it's good to kind of talk about how we process certain things,
Hmm.
not to open old wounds
Yeah,
or
not to open
to
old wounds, but to
yeah.
just understand how people process things because there are people I think that are on both ends of the spectrum, like you and me, where you have the highly sensitive, highly emotional person like me, and you also very emotional, but also very cerebral, where you are processing things intellectually and you're experiencing the emotions. You may
Hmm.
not be expressing the emotions in the way that people assume that you should,
Yeah.
but you're still experiencing them. And
Hmm.
I think for you, for people like you, it's sort of like a disservice how people look at people like you, where it's like, oh, they can take anything, they just roll with the punches. You're still experiencing those things. You're still experiencing grief the exact same way that everyone else is. It's just that you haven't been conditioned to share those things and to express those things and feel comfortable expressing those things. And I think that's a
Yeah.
disservice to a certain extent. I know sometimes it's also like, okay, you don't need to express it in that way or you don't feel compelled to, but also to have the room to just have that moment if you want to.
Yeah. I think that I've had the room. I just think that I haven't felt safe enough to be that vulnerable
Hmm.
with a lot of other people, and that safety is really important.
Yeah.
And now that I have that safety to be that vulnerable and not feel judged or turned into a spectacle or, ridiculed for whatever
Hmm.
reason, um, I think that it's like now I'm learning, like maybe I was a very sensitive kid.
Hmm.
I don't know. But I ended up just like by second or third grade, like I just turned into the tough kid. Like I had to take everything on the chin and just
Hmm.
like keep it pushing. You know, fear, what's that? Like, oh, like, it's, why do you want to cry? Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you suck it up. Not that that was I don't know. I can't remember. I can't point to a time that I was ever told to suck it up or told to stop crying or told to not show emotion or anything like that.
Hmm.
I just think that, especially going to public school,
Yeah.
just being in public, being in school, period.
Hmm.
There was never really a safe space for me to cry and
Hmm.
never or to not even to cry, just to feel anything other than elation.
Hmm.
In high school, I was always told, "Oh my gosh, you're always so happy. Like how are you always so happy? How are you always laughing? Like you never get upset. You never blah 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 da, da, da." And it's like I
This is what you want.
there's right there's no place, there's no space for that. Like
If there's
there's
any other way, we hear fix your attitude. That's what we.
right right. And you're like,
Hmm.
like, oh, what got you so angry? And it's like, no, if you want friends, like you gotta put it on, like you're good, like you're
Yeah,
happy,
you
like you
gotta
don't need anything.
get more flies with honey.
Right. And so I think I took that a little bit too far. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like learning how good it feels to just have that emotional release, whether it is um, laughing really hard or being upset and feeling upset in the moment
Hmm.
and then letting it pass, or crying, or just feeling whatever the feeling is, instead of intellectualizing it and saying, well, yes, it is okay for me to feel this way because so and so did so and so, and because they didn't do this after I expressly said this,
Hmm.
like I can feel this way, blah 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 blah. And then instead of feeling the feeling is now
This
analyzed,
rationalized, yeah,
and now it's like, well, then I don't feel like I should be upset because they probably were doing something for them, blah, blah, blah. And
yeah.
I'm doing all this talking, all this thinking about how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, instead of just feeling the feeling and letting the feeling pass. I
Hmm.
spent more time rationalizing it than I did actually just feeling the feeling. So now
If you
that
just yelled at them, then this would be over.
I'm I'm really working on, and oh my gosh, I just talked about this last night. I'm really working on, no, I didn't talk about this. I wrote about this earlier today, being more expressive with my emotions in those safe spaces,
Hmm.
and being okay with whatever happens in that space,
Yeah.
whether people accept or reject or ignore whatever.
Hmm.
But just being in a place to just feel myself,
Yeah.
and just to be that, and not having to um and not having to mask, because that's a lot of what um, I was listening to a few different psychologists who were talking about the difference between code switching and masking, especially like not being the Eurocentric white person who's the standard for everything, having to mask yourself, whether you're in education or professional settings or even at
Hmm.
the grocery store. It's like when you go to the grocery store, what are you told? Like, yeah, you better keep your hands in your pockets and make sure you act right. Don't say nothing.
Look
Don't
with
ask
your
for nothing.
eyes, not with your hands.
Right.
Mom would say,
So if you hear your favorite song in the grocery store, can you dance? No, you were told keep your hands in
act
your
right.
pockets. You better walk straight behind me, and that's what it is. Like I should be able to see you. You see me at all times. And so it's like, but other people, they hear their favorite song in the store, they're able to just experience it as it's happening.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting when we talk about masking and we talk about different ways it has manifested itself, especially in our communities, like talking about how grief is affecting us and how we process
Mhm.
that grief, especially during this time. It's I think it's a good conversation
Yeah.
so that people don't feel weird
Yeah,
about.
weird or isolated. Like it can feel
Yes,
isolating if
yes.
you're experiencing these things and thinking that nobody else is going through them. And that's one thing that I can credit my mom with.
Hmm.
Um, when she lost her mom when I was 10, she was very open about all of the emotions appropriately, actually. Like she wasn't like inappropriately open about it. Like she was careful to hide certain stuff from us or sort of keep certain things from us, but she was very open about what she was experiencing and how it was affecting her.
Mm,
And so that made it so that we were also encouraged to share a lot of our reactions to that loss. I realize now that I'm older that part of why I was still why I'm still processing it is because I was so young. I wasn't able to say goodbye the right way because we were only 10. Me and my brother, my twin, were only 10 at the time. So we were like the only two
mm,
who weren't allowed to go in to say a proper goodbye. So yeah, that manifests itself as like a loss of control, but that's a whole other story. Um, but it's interesting, like the different ways that we mask ourselves, like grief, like hiding our grief and just sort of just putting on and just keeping going and stuff. And then
yeah.
one that I'm managing now, not to change the topic, but it's in a similar way with feeling safe enough to open up to people, like with just even living with like chronic pain and that kind of thing. Cause I'm experiencing a lot of fibromyalgia issues. And
Yeah.
so I'm realizing that like I'm just opening up to more people than I realized that I wanted to open up to about like,
Hmm.
yeah, fibromyalgia. So I deal with fatigue and pain and stuff. And so I'm seeing all these different doctors trying to get the neck issue under control, which since I'm feeling comfortable with those people, I'm able to get advice. They're like, well, yeah, I've heard try this kind of chiropractor, try this kind of treatment and stuff. And it's stuff that I wouldn't have considered. So I say that to say the more that you do open up to other people, as difficult as it may be, it can sort of open different paths to not getting over things. I hate that phrase, getting over things. How to manage things, how to
Yeah.
manage your grief, how to manage your pain, how to manage just like how you experience the world.
Hmm.
Um, because if you have a strong manager, as my therapist calls it, the manager is in control. If you have a strong manager who knows what he's doing, who's been trained well, then when you are faced with like crises and stuff, then it's like, okay, everybody go through what you need to. The manager's in control. We're not going to lose control of this department. Just keep everything under control. Basically, open up to people if you feel comfortable doing so. You will get advice. You will get help. You will get um, a shoulder, if you will. As corny as that sounds. That sounds corny, didn't it?
It didn't sound so corny
Until I pointed it out.
because it it didn't sound so corny because honestly, I think that people don't really consider the benefits. They get scared about like, oh my gosh, people are going to look at me crazy.
The
I'm the only
judgment,
one that
yeah.
experiences this.
Which goes back to the
Um,
safe space thing. Like, how do you know
right.
when, just like you were saying, how do you know when you're in a safe space to express those emotions and stuff and to have that cry and to have that real gut laugh, like your
Yeah.
real laugh, which most people probably haven't heard your real laugh before, right? It's a good laugh. It
Is
is.
honestly, my laugh is very loud.
Yes, it is.
Oh
But
my
it's a
gosh.
real
It's
authentic laugh when you're
it's
in
a
that
it's a
safe
good
space.
it's a good laugh.
Hmm.
Like it relieves so much stress when I can laugh like that.
Yes. But how do you
But
know? Because sometimes you might face judgment like, oh, wow, you laugh loud or that kind of thing. I don't think you've ever heard that from me,
no,
right?
no.
It's just like, no, laugh. It's like once you get to that point, when you're around me, if you start laughing like that, I'm going to do more to make you laugh like that.
No, I think the first time, one of the first time, I don't think it was the first time, I'm not sure, but the one of the first times that I can remember when I laughed really loud like that,
Mhm.
you just start laughing, and then we just couldn't
Yes.
stop laughing, and it
It's
was like
contagious.
don't even know what we were laughing about, but it just kept going.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I feel like that's kind of where you have to um, be more confident. Is that the word that I'm looking for? Secure.
Mhm.
securing yourself of, hey, I'm going to try to don't give the person the whole mile, give them an inch.
Mhm.
um I'm going to try to, give this person a little bit. And if they can be trusted with this little bit of vulnerability, then I can open up more. And then
Mhm.
if they exchange their vulnerability with my vulnerability,
Mhm.
then I know that I can open up more and we can create a space that feels comfortable. And if they cross a boundary or make or cause an offense, then I can let them know, because we're in this vulnerable space, that this is not okay right now for me.
Mhm.
And just being able to kind of talk through those things,
Mhm.
it makes it easier to create that space. And I only say it that way because that's honestly the that's been the path that I've been on for the past like 6 months,
Mhm.
is just kind of like opening up a little bit. They open up a little bit, I open up more, they open up a lot more. And I was like,
Isn't it jarring?
oh,
It's
that's
like
how that's done.
it's like,
How are
oh,
you
okay, I
so
gave you a little bit, and now I know your childhood.
how are you so comfortable with just like, and it was just like, oh, this is me. I mean, yeah, yeah, but also, how did you know that this was like a cool space to do that? And it was like, well, if you didn't judge me for this, like, you're not going to judge me for this. And so,
It's like
and I
you're
was
not
like,
wrong, but how did you know?
right, like, how are you so and so I think that seeing that example and being part of that example helps me to say, okay, well, um I don't need to change who I am and be
Mhm.
super expressive with my
Right.
emotions and be over the top this way or that, but I can start to feel my feelings and not rationalize them.
Mhm.
I can start to, when I'm feeling upset, when I'm feeling angry, or when I'm feeling, really sad about something, or when
Mhm.
something does make me emotional one way or another, because there's so many different emotions.
Yeah.
When it was like there was I'll probably never forget this as long as I live. I was feeling just like bleh. Golden Girls, Blanche Devereaux called it magenta because she said she doesn't like the color magenta. You don't really feel yellow. You're not really feeling blue. You're not red with anger and all these other colors. And then she says, so you're just magenta. It's just blah. You don't know how to feel. You just feel ugh. And I was just like, yeah, that's pretty much how I'm feeling right now. But I'm like, I can't get out of it. Like, nothing is like pulling me out of it. And I don't, and the worst part is, I don't know what's causing it. And for a person
Mhm.
who likes to rationalize their feelings, it's so frustrating. It's so, so frustrating. So I call and just like, hey, no, no, no. I text and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm not feeling it. Are you sure? I mean, mostly. Like, I don't really. I tried watching, Scooby Doo. I tried watching Family Guy. I tried watching some of my favorite movies. I tried watching an emotional movie, and I just felt like I'm feeling everything and nothing at the same time,
Mhm.
and I don't know where it's coming from. They call and stay on the phone with me until I cry it out and was like, "Are you good now?" Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
That's so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all
Just
right.
needed to open the tap a little bit.
Yeah.
Just let a little bit out.
So it's just so it's hard for a person like me who rationalizes and analyzes every single feeling that comes through, because there has to be something to describe where it came from, where it's going, how it's gonna, the who, when, what, why, where.
Mhm.
But to just feel the feeling, like, I think that it's great that I have people like you who can feel it, and I can watch how you feel it. You tell me how to feel it, or how
Mhm.
you don't tell me how to feel it. You tell me how you're feeling it,
Yeah.
and then it helps me to just let it pass.
Yeah, it's like you sort of tap into, okay, well, he described this, so okay, I'm kind of seeing that, and just understanding that it's not unusual. Oh God, I did not want to sound like Tom Jones.
Not unusual for
I knew you were gonna start dancing.
anyone. No, 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 no. Um, because I even now when somebody makes me upset, especially at work,
Hmm.
I'm like, nope, 2 minutes. And then I'll take 10 seconds to try to see if I can call somebody. And if I
Hmm.
can't call anybody, I'll get to the window and I'll yell at somebody at one of these other windows back here and just be like, can you believe what they did? I cannot understand. And then I'll spend 2 minutes, tell them all the things that happened. Sometimes it takes five, but tell them all the things that happened. And then I'm like, whew, all right, cool. Now I'm feeling better
There's
now.
somebody in one of those buildings like, oh God, Peter, she's coming back. What did I
Somebody
do
with
to you?
binoculars like across the way, just like, up, she's back at the window again.
She's back with
I'm
a cast
reading
on her leg.
her lips. It looks like Sarah did something to Jenny.
It wasn't me, I
Okay.
swear.
But yeah, it's good to learn how to process and manage your emotions. Because we can't. One thing that my old therapist told me is that you can't control your emotions. You're gonna feel what you want to feel,
Yeah. And it's enough
and
that you feel it. That's valid. That's validation right there. If you feel it, then you
oh,
feel
that's a
it.
whole different thing. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
You don't have to
yes.
rationalize it. It's like, okay, I'm feeling sad today. Okay. Feel sad. Like it's valid. You're okay. It's okay for you to feel sad.
But then there's somebody in a worse position than you are, so you need to
Yep.
be happy for what you have.
I hate that. I hate that line of thinking. And it's weird. It's not weird. It's also not funny. It's ironic, I guess. Like on days like this where it's raining and I'm very sensitive to like weather changes with my
Hmm.
mood. And so today I was just feeling like, oh God, just angry at the world, just mad, annoyed at everything. I'm like, it's fine. I can feel this way. It's valid. And a homeless person walked by my window as I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh crap. It's like, yeah, I can feel it. It's fine for me to feel it, but like, yeah, somebody else has it worse off.
Yeah, put it into perspective. It's
It's
not that there was
yes.
a what did they say? There was like an anecdote of or not an anecdote. That's not the word I'm looking for. There was an example provided that said even though I have cancer, you can't. It's not that you can't tell me about your broken leg. Your leg is still broken.
Yeah.
Me having cancer doesn't change it.
Mhm.
Like, and so I'm just like, yeah, like you can absolutely feel how you're feeling, but I think it's more so in the way that it's expressed that
Yeah.
makes people judge it. Because if you're upset that your pen ran out of ink and the way that you express it is to throw the pen across the room,
Hmm. Want to dial it back?
you might want to find a better outlet for your emotions.
You could just get up, toss it in the trash can, get another pen.
Right. But some people would rather have the fight. Some people would rather have the outlet because they don't have anywhere else to put it.
Hmm.
Um and so I just think that the whole thing of having people validate your feelings, or you even trying to invalidate the way you feel because somebody has it worse off than you. No, you can still feel crappy. You can still
Yeah.
feel sad. You can still be angry. You know, somebody you wanted this car, but you had to settle for this car. You know, you really wanted that car and you feel defeated by it, but
Hmm.
perspective, you got a car.
Yeah. It's you can be disappointed to some degree,
Right.
but I mean, you can feel however you want to feel. I'm not telling you how to feel, but like it's valid for not valid. See, I'm using all these words that we're saying, oh, you don't need people to validate your feelings. I can understand feeling disappointed by not getting the exact thing that you want, but like if you, like you said, if you want a specific car, is it sold out, or if it's too expensive, or your credit's not good enough, it's completely understandable to
Yeah.
be disappointed by it and still have some elation over having the car.
Yeah.
Like people are complex. You don't experience one simple emotion at a time. You are a complex network of different emotions at any given time. You might be happy
Exactly.
with a thread, like there's some frustration but you're still happy, or you're happy but there's a thread of sadness or something, or there's anger but contentment to some degree. You can
Yeah.
be all those things at once. You're complex humans. You can experience all these things at once. You
It
should
made me think
experience all these things at
of
once.
Inside Out, of just like how she was sad that she lost a game, but happy that her that her friends and family came around to support her. Or even if
Hmm.
you think about like your wedding day, there's
Yeah.
so many different emotions. Like you're excited, you're nervous, you're anxious, you're afraid. Like there's so many different emotions. Or you think about a funeral and it's like there's so many sad things, but then you think about all the happy times that are filled with
Yeah.
love and care and compassion and things like
The
that.
celebratory nature of it.
Yeah, there's so many different things about emotions that it's very interesting that I take the time to rationalize it and try to think about where it comes from and how it's feeling and blah blah blah. Um,
They are weird
now,
though. Emotions are freaking weird,
yeah, because
right?
I mean, you don't know why, and a lot of times when people are angry, it like it's it's masking something else.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like, okay, am I really angry or I'm sad about this
Or am I
or
hungry?
am I disappointed about this? And
Yeah.
because of the disappointment, now I'm upset. And that
Like I feel like
upset,
anger is like the baseline, um just like that's the base
like the
emotion. It's like
primal
that's the
instinct
first,
right
yeah,
there.
primal emotion, where that's like the
Yeah.
first thing where if there's any kind of like a thread of negative,
Yeah,
usually you
yeah.
feel anger first. You feel
Yeah.
anxious, usually you're angry first.
Yeah.
Or like, right?
And it's like, why are you so upset? I'm not mad.
Why am
And
I
when people
frustrated?
and when people, when people say I'm not mad, and it's like they
You
could be
sure
very
about that?
true. Like they're not mad, but they're expressing anger. They're more so disappointed, and it's
You're
coming across
conveying
as
anger.
anger. And I'm
You
like,
may not be mad, but you're conveying mad. What is that hiding? What
all
mad
right,
is
let's
this?
let's figure out where
Who's
this is
under
coming
there?
from.
Who's
Let's
that?
let's unpack that a little bit. I want to figure out what's going on. But I feel like that understand for me when I try to understand my emotions, it's more about not repeating cyclical behavior.
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself in a negative space,
Hmm.
or I want to recognize when a pattern is starting
Hmm.
so I can break it. And it's not the best reason, but I realize that since I do this anyway, I'm going to use it for good.
Yeah. Why not?
Because if I'm not processing my emotions or managing my emotions the way that I need to be, because
Well,
I
you do
haven't I
something.
haven't arrived. I mean, I'll probably arrive sometime in my 40s,
You get there.
maybe eventually.
Maybe.
But you know, I just feel like it's now give your like, and I know we say this a lot, but especially now, give yourself that space, give yourself that grace, give yourself the time, and you by yourself can start creating what safety looks like. Start creating what vulnerability looks like for you. What does peace in your space look like for you?
Mhm.
All these things, all these comfort things. What does that look like for you? Jason, you put up you have your record player, you have your poster,
Mhm.
like you have that Zen space, and you can create that like on your own. I'm still working on mine. I have quite a few pieces of art that have not made it to the
To the
wall
wall.
yet, but
I need to get
eventually.
plants for my space.
But I feel like it's really important, especially as we're ending this year and starting anew. Just take some time in yourself in this space, figure out how you want to be accepted, and be okay when people don't accept you the way they think you're supposed to be, the way you think you're supposed to be accepted,
Mhm.
because they could accept you even more than what you expected. They could accept you a little bit less or not at all. And either way, it's good to be secure in yourself, knowing that you're good and can laugh as hard and loud as you want to laugh, or soft and low, however you. I'm
However
not
you
sure how
get
people
down,
laugh.
if you want a good guffaw, a chortle.
Guffaw was one of my words from 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I love that word. I love that word.
Oh my gosh. I
Guffaw.
like kerfuffle. I like kerfuffle.
I like that tune.
But yes, just take the time to figure. It's easier said than done. Way easier said than done.
Yeah.
But once you take time, it's kind of like starting a garden. Once you take time to really like till the ground, do the fertilizer, set the stage, when people start to approach, you can tell which ones are going to respect the space
Hmm.
and which ones aren't. So it's going to help you to be very careful about the space that you've cultivated for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have.
That's enough, I think. Drop the mic. Just throw your mic off your desk. No.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, don't do that.
No,
Mm-mm.
don't do
You pay
it.
money for that. Mm-mm.
No, 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 no. Yeah. So, Jason, with
Hmm?
that being said, I really hope that this holiday season is amazing.
Oh, it always
Um,
is.
we're probably going to go to bi-weekly. I'm not sure yet. I'll talk with my co-star to see what we're doing. Because I want to make sure that we're all able to enjoy this time with our families. So, with that, Jason,
Yes.
where can people find you?
They can find me in the streets if you want to fight. No, you can find
When are you ever in the streets? When are you ever in the streets, sir?
from 54th and Crenshaw. No. Remember when
Oh,
just a quick aside, remember I don't know if you saw this about a year ago maybe, where Safari from Flavor of Love, you remember Safari, right? The one who beat the lady up for hitting her with a flower, and she was like, "You want some lip chat?"
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
she
lip tap
faked her
girl.
death a few years, like 2 years ago.
Stop.
Like I had logged
People.
into
She
Twitter.
thought people cared enough about her to fake her own death.
I had logged into Twitter and I saw like, "Oh, rest in peace, Safari." I'm like, "Oh no, that's terrible." And then I go to her Twitter and it's like, "We are sorry to say that Safari," or I went to her Instagram and she did like a story where it said like, "We are sorry to say Safari has passed. We are very saddened by this." And then it came out like maybe 15 or 20 minutes later, like, "No, no, no, she was just trying to promote lip chat." So
Wow.
with that said, yeah,
What?
I am a vault of useless pop culture moments. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JJ underscore Newberry. Probably TikTok. I'm going to post some TikToks pretty soon playing with that voice filter. I don't know if you guys seen that yet.
It's so weird.
It is so weird, but I'm
It's so
excited to try it
weird.
out. I
It's
need
so
to
so
find some
weird.
movies. Probably do Holiday Heart actually.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh.
Oh,
Bless
yeah.
her. Bless her.
Bless her. Bless her. But yeah, you can find me on those places. JJ underscore Newberry. Type it into all the socials. It'll probably be my face. So
I think you just unlocked the memory of us at Sac State going to a talk. Remember the Hapa talk, where he was talking about how people who are mixed race didn't have like a checkbox until like the okay. Remember in
yeah.
the beginning he was doing pop culture references and it was like who stole the something from America's Next Top Model and you're like Brie and I was like how do you know that? I don't watch the show, but how do you know that?
Somebody stole the granola bar, and so Bree poured out all the Red Bull.
For
That
those
was.
fans of America's Next Top Model. After
Mhm.
you follow Jason, please make sure to follow Take Up Space Podcast. That's Take Up Space POD, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Um,
That too.
I think that's everything. That's all where we are. Please make sure to give us a follow, give us a like, share, with all the great things, and let us know how are you going to manage your emotions, especially during this time.
Yeah. There's
Holidays are around the
grief.
corner, and we
Yeah,
talked a
grief
lot
is
about
one that is like common, but also just the holidays are stressful for a lot of people because
they
being around
are.
family is stressful for a lot of people. So how are y'all gonna manage that? Don't look to the side. Don't look to the side. You're telling on people stuff.
I'm not telling on anybody because I am excited about this season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting greatness.
Mm-hmm.
So
And so it
I'm
will be
going to,
great.
it will be great.
Yes.
It will be great.
Whatever
Can't
that
wait to tell
greatness
y'all all
looks like.
about it. Mm.
I'm so excited for you guys. I know I keep saying that. I'm excited for your mom. Not to diminish how excited you might be. I'm excited for your mom to have everybody there.
I
Tell her
just
that next time
can't.
you talk to her.
I can't wait to go to the jump house with some dodgeballs and start pegging kids in the head.
Don't tell them too much.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying that's probably gonna happen.
Do you know which niece or nephew you're going to pelt first?
Oh yes, the big one.
Yes. Okay,
Oh,
I
the
know who
big
that
one.
is.
And when he watches this, he's gonna know
Dang.
the big one.
He'll
Yeah,
take you. He'll take you. He'll dodge it.
I'm no, I'm gonna have a backup one. So it'd be like, oh, you, pow. Just
And
like,
you just
oh,
give away your secret. I hope you're listening,
yeah.
kid.
Oh, he knows about the jump punch. He knows about the jump punch.
Superman punch.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.